Now we have our scene into Unity, it's interesting to note that although the communication between Unity and LightWave is strictly one way from LightWave to Unity, it means that we can also go in to LightWave, make changes to our scene, save it, and then come back to Unity to find those changes have taken place in Unity as well. This gives us a huge amount of possibilities for creating animation in our scene and for creating movements that are difficult to achieve in Unity. What we want to do now though is actually create something that looks a little bit better than this standard thing, and also if we hit play, this is not a very interesting scene. So let's come out of play again, and the first thing we're going to do is add a character controller into our scene. And as you can see, he's right off there in the distance, so let's just change this to 0, 0, 0. And then, as we can see, the character controller is being cut in half by the floor, which means that when we press play, he's just going to fall endlessly. So what we need to do is just lift him so he's above the floor in all senses. There we go. Now, when we press play, he'll drop down onto the floor and he'll stay there. Okay, so now we actually have something of a game. We can get rid of this main camera as well because it's not going to be used, and hit play, and there's our scene. And I'm using the standard keyboard controls of WASD on a QWERTY keyboard. I can also use the cursor keys to change my position as I like, and I'm using the mouse to look around. It's still not great though, it's very flat, and we need to get some light in here because at the moment it's just lit with an ambient intensity. So to do that, we'll come in here and we can see that there's the LightWave camera and the two lights that we had in the LightWave scene as well. They have absolutely no function in Unity whatsoever, other than they are great placeholders for Unity lights rather than the lights in LightWave. So let's take light 1 and we'll add a component to it, rendering light. And at the moment it's right off there in the background, so it's no good to us to have a point light because it's the same as in LightWave. We'll make it a directional light, which is the equivalent of LightWave's distant light. The intensity is a bit high, so let's reduce that somewhat. And now when we play our game, we've got a bit more detail. There's a bit more shading, showing how the game is differentiating between the different areas of the scenery. You can see here shadow type, no shadows. We can try changing it to hard shadows, only in Real-Time Pro. Okay. What about soft shadows? No, again, Unity Pro needed. So we're stuck with no shadows. So how do we get around this? I mean, we can leave it as it is and it looks okay, but I'm sure there's something we could do better than that. What we'll do is try to bake some better shadows, and we'll look at that in the next chapter. Take care.